Did you know that the idea behind the story of the movie Moana is based on a mystery that remains unexplained to this day? That's because over 2,000 years ago, the Polynesian peoples left Asia and colonized several small islands across the Pacific Ocean. And they lived on these islands for approximately 1,000 years. And some entirely unknown event caused them to set sail again to colonize new places like Hawaii and New Zealand. Was it perhaps a daring young woman who wasn't afraid to seek the unknown, just like in the movie? That's a mystery that will probably never be solved. But I like Disney's idea of portraying the 16-year-old princess as the reason for the people's courage to venture out to sea. That's just the first of the 22 curious facts and details about Moana that you'll discover in this video. And let me tell you, the secret involving Te Fiti will blow your mind. Moana and The Little Mermaid take place at the same time? That's right, probably both Disney classics happen in the same timeline. And there are two pieces of evidence supporting this incredible theory. The first one is the fact that Flounder, Ariel's friend, appears in Moana. He shows up in Maui's song among the fish in the tune. The second supporting point happens in the post-credit scene of the film, where we see Tamatoa, that giant crab, still turned back and asking for help from the audience. And since no one helps the villain, he says that if it were Sebastian, that same crab who serves in King Triton's court, people would help. He's probably right after all, Sebastian wasn't a wicked villain.
Can we be real? If my name was Sebastian and I had a cool Jamaican accent, you'd totally help me.
Moreover, Te Fiti's heart, which Moana carries throughout the movie to deliver to the goddess in the end, has a spiral shape, as we all know. And if you look at Ursula's necklace, the villain from The Little Mermaid, you'll notice that they indeed have very similar shapes, associated with shells, which are artifacts present in all the oceans of the world. Moana is the 14th official Disney princess to join the select group of sovereigns of the world's largest entertainment company. Remembering that Snow White is the first on the list, and the last ones before Moana to join the list were Anna and Elsa. Say what you want, but without a doubt, Disney knows how to create princesses that are worldwide hits. Since we're talking numbers, Moana was the 7th film directed by the duo of directors Ron Clements and John Musker, a partnership that certainly left Disney quite satisfied. The first 6 films include some of the company's historical blockbusters, such as The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Hercules, and The Princess and the Frog. Surely these two are very good at what they do. Increasingly, Disney has been creating independent princesses without their respective romantic partners. And in this regard, Moana was the 3rd Disney princess, with the first being Merida from the movie Brave and Elsa from Frozen. After Moana, a 4th princess with the same characteristics emerged, Raya. But honestly, I really hope Moana and Maui make a beautiful couple, don't you think? If you're on this team too, comment below, #couple. Who knows, maybe Disney will listen to us. It's very common to see that in all Disney movies, all the characters have their pets and support animals. This is a tactic by Disney to create more identification between the characters and the audience, as well as to create comedic moments in the film. And Moana was the first film where the protagonist didn't have 1, but 2 animals. Pua, that cute little pig, and Hey, that silly but very funny rooster. And before someone comments anything, Rapunzel didn't have 2 pets, just 1, the little chameleon Pascal. Since Maximus, the police horse, didn't belong to the princess, but was a member of the royal guard. Initially, Hey was supposed to be an intelligent and belligerent rooster who would have the mission of protecting Moana on her journey. But the president of Disney said he was a useless character and gave the creative team 48 hours to convince him to keep the rooster in the movie. Do you know what the solution was? Make him as dumb as a rock, possibly putting Moana in danger. The big boss liked the idea and let the dumbest character in Disney history continue in the movie. And I have to say, that worked out really well because somehow I really like him a lot. And you? Certainly, tattoos are very important aspects for Polynesian people, and we can see that this is quite evident in the tattoos of the demigod Maui, as they are responsible for telling the stories of the big guy. But what few people know is that bringing Maui's tattoos to life was one of the most challenging parts for Disney's animation team, mainly for 2 reasons. First, because it was something that was on the demigod's skin, so it had to really look like a living tattoo. Second, because as big as Maui was, the space for animating the tattoos was limited to parts of his body. So, the animation of the tattoos was the only part of the film where computer animation wasn't used. They were entirely hand-drawn and then added to the movie, so the work was really huge. But Maui wasn't the only character with striking tattoos. If you look closely, when Moana's grandmother is doing her ritual dance, we notice a tattoo on her back, and it's exactly the favorite marine creature of the elder, a stingray, which has a total connection with all the times we see the animal throughout the film, and its connection to the spiritual world, where Moana's grandmother went after her passing. You know what's really cool that few people who watch Moana know? The movie has a very close connection with another Disney film, Frozen! And no, we're not talking about Olaf's dream of going to the beach someday. Actually, several characters from the Arendelle Princess's movie appear in Moana, despite the two films being set in completely different climates. Right at the beginning of the movie, we can see a version of Marshmallow, the snow monster that Elsa created, represented in a painting by Moana's people. Alongside Marshmallow, another supporting character from Frozen that also appears is Sven, Kristoff's reindeer. Maui transforms into him when he's testing his hook after retrieving it from Tamatoa. And to wrap up the Frozen character's appearance in Moana, we have Olaf. Well, part of him. On Moana's boat, among the stored foods, we can notice a carrot that is completely identical to the snowman's nose from Frozen. Additionally, next to the basket is a stick that looks a lot like Olaf's arm. Did Olaf actually fulfill his dream of going to the beach, melted, and only his nose remained? If that's the case, rest in peace, Olaf. Leaving sadness aside, now for a cheerful curiosity. Moana was released in 2016, the same year as Zootopia, just with a gap of 9 months difference. And both films were big box office hits that year. The last time Disney had released two films in the same year was in 2002, when it released Lilo and Stitch and Treasure Planet. I love all these Disney movies. How about you? If the answer is yes, then you should definitely subscribe to our channel where we make videos by fans for fans. Going back to talking about Disney movies being released in the same year is a pretty interesting coincidence, considering that both Lilo and Stitch and Moana are set in Pacific regions. While Moana's adventures take place on islands in Samoa, Fiji, and Tonga, Lilo lives on an island in Hawaii, which is a distance of over 4,000 kilometers, which is pretty cool since both Moana and Lilo are descendants of Polynesian peoples and might even have a very close blood bond, at least in theory. This could definitely enter the realm of crazy Disney theories, don't you agree? Returning to talk about Zootopia and Moana, which were released very close to each other, we notice a fact that shows the proximity between the teams of both films. When we see Nick's friend selling counterfeit DVDs, one of them is exactly a version of Moana, but with a cat as the protagonist. His name even is Meowana. Did you know that the directors of Moana appear in the movie? When a person from Moana's people unfolds a carpet, we can see two figures. One taller and thinner, and the other shorter and wider. These drawings are a reference to Ron Clements and John Musker. This is not the first time they have appeared in one of their films, as in Aladdin, they do the same thing. For various different reasons, Moana isn't Moana all over the world. For example, in Spain, Germany, and France, the movie and the character are called Vaiana. In Italy, the film's name became Oceana. Honestly, I find it quite strange. I really prefer Moana. And you? Now a detail that practically no one noticed in Moana. Did you know that the pupil of one of Tamatoa's eyes is bigger than the other? Yes, that's true. And the best part? It wasn't by chance. In fact, this is a reference to the singer David Bowie, who also has this ocular characteristic. And this happened because the directors are fans of the singer who was very successful in the 80s and 90s. And not only that, all of Tamatoa's music was inspired by songs by the British pop rock singer. We see that the ocean is practically a character in Moana. After all, it is very important to the plot. This idea arose after the Disney team visited the Polynesian islands and talked to the people, and they explained that for them, indeed, the ocean is alive and has the function of connecting all the islands, which makes a lot of sense. Don't you agree? Now imagine how it would be if you entered the sea and it played with you, just like in Moana. That would definitely be amazing, and I wouldn't miss it for anything. Just like, in your place, I wouldn't miss the chance to watch these two videos that are appearing on the screen now. We've separated them exclusively for you. Click and check it out.